1415, March 1st, 2025, right now marks 753 hours of progress on the Global Horror simulation. Currently, some additional functionality has been added to the renderer from the tutorial, such as allowing the window to be moved around and resized, which was actually only a individual line of code fix. The code that prevented the window from being resized or moved was in the creation function, which is a system function of the Win32 API, and this OR statement here was preventing that from occurring. So the Eclipse Bling or Eclipse Children and pop-up, and swapping that out just for the individual overlapped window allows the program to run as intended, or at least allowing it to be resized and moved around. And also it was figured out how to allow the cursor to be shown, which is actually just that boolean right there, which wasn't noticed before until actually going to this segment of the code. And looking at this is 2,000 lines of code for rendering a 3D cube, and it's actually easier than having all the code be separated into individual places. This right here is the actual functionality from the tutorial, which is just a fixed sized window that can't be moved around or anything, which is kind of annoying. So some adjustments were made to that in order to allow it to be more dynamic, moved around to different areas of the screen. And well, how this code differs from the one from the tutorial is that the source code from the tutorial has around 21 files, it would appear, for rendering a 3D cube, which the code itself is actually understandable, but what happens with these sort of object-oriented projects with a bunch of different scripts is that tends to break up the logical control flow of the program, not in terms of runtime execution, but in terms of analyzing it from a comprehension standpoint. In order to understand it, it's somewhat easier to have the code all in one file, but not just having everything thrown randomly, but how this is organized is things are organized based on what they depend on. So code that doesn't depend on anything is at the top of this header file, and they're organized by namespaces, which the namespaces aren't necessary, but they allow code to be collapsed. Now normally in a project like this, if one were including multiple classes in a single source file or a single header file, they wouldn't be able to be collapsed, but the namespaces sort of mitigate that and allow it to be organized better. So also another side effect of the namespaces is that they sort of make the dependencies between the modules more explicit. So right here one can see that the application class depends on the direct 3D camera model, light shooter, and light controller class, or at least the light class. Or light class is it belongs to the light controller namespace, and other than that, one can see that the system depends on input and application. And going back up, it is seen that input doesn't depend on anything, since it's just used for tracking the input. And other than that, since this is organized now, the intention for the next hour is to continue along through the tutorial into the different sections. And now, normally another thing of note is that having namespaces within the header is typically not standard practice within C++, as it is often stated that that can lead to, if a project is intended to be used by multiple people, one might accidentally include a namespace that they weren't intending to, but for a solo project which only has one person using it, it just seems to make things better organized. in terms of understanding the logical flow of things.